JEE Advanced is much tougher. Okay? Then students start. Okay? Standard 11 is where we are starting. That's why I asked whether which students are from 11th and 12th. Okay? And then standard 11 finals. Then we have standard 12 boards. That's what is the target. Okay? And then there is JEE and NEET. Now this is in terms of time. Right? Now, 10th boards are finished. Okay? How many people have finished 10th boards just recently? Okay? So this is the free time. That 3 மாசம் 20 ஜாலியா இருக்கலாம், ஒரு வேலையும் கிடையாது, ஒன்றும் பண்ண வேணாம். ஓகே, 11th standard ஸ்டார்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு, ஜூன்ல ஸ்டார்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு. ஓகே, then if you just progress, 11th standard ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகும், 11th standard quarterly வரும், half yearly finals, அதே மாதிரி 12th quarterly half yearly. This is in terms of time, என்னெல்லாம் exams milestones you are going to see, right? Now let's start with the student. Okay, what they do is, this is how many students are used to doing. Okay, they start with this thing and generally relaxed, chill, right? Then quarterly exams come. What do we do? Lots of portions. 10th standard to 11th standard, lots of portions. Let's study very hard before the exam. Okay, now you're not fully prepared for the exam, but that 1 week of extra effort you put makes you reach that level of the exam. But there is a big problem. The big problem is, after the exams are over, okay, what happens? Forget all of it. So this comes down. But அதெல்லாம் நம்ம பார்த்துக்கலாம். இந்த மாதிரி எக்ஸாம் எவ்வளோ பார்த்துருக்கோம். நெக்ஸ்ட் எக்ஸாம் வரும், அதுக்கு முன்னாடி படிச்சிடலாம். Confidence is good. So you progress, half yearly comes. Now portions have become more, okay, more stress. Okay, 1 week within 10 days before the exam you prepare. Okay, and put a lot of effort and then somehow struggle to the half yearly exam. But after the half yearly, again becomes difficult. Okay, then come to finals, somehow manage. By now you know the story. What happens is, if you prepare like this, okay, eventually you will do something for the board exams. Before the board exams, you will prepare very hard and be able to do the exam. So we are calling the student X, who is quite intelligent and did reasonably well in the board exams. Okay, now remember, 12th boards, NEET, JEE mains, advanced, it's all very high, right? Now I'm sure that there will be people who will say there are students who don't need to prepare for exams. They are so smart, okay, who will do very well, okay, and who prepare a little bit continuously, but they are very smart, like the student, okay, and who progress much better, okay. They are way ahead of the school exam cycle, and eventually student Y is very intelligent and tops exams and goes to and prepares JEE Advanced also, clears JEE Advanced. But this talk is not about student X or student Y, because whatever I tell about student Y, you may not believe. So some students are very intelligent, they will do something, manage, etc. Okay? It is about the third student. Okay? Take the third student who is preparing continuously. That means on a daily basis. It is not studying for the exam. This is the biggest myth that you will have to break if you want to prepare for JEE and NEET. Don't prepare for the exam. Study in order to understand and learn the subject well on a constant basis. JEE panna, you have to do physics, chemistry, mathematics. NEET na physics, chemistry, biology. Whatever be the subject, you have to study constantly. Now, if you study constantly, the big difference is you don't have to do this big jump before the exam. You may be slightly below or ahead, it doesn't matter. Okay? You will do half yearly, but because you are studying constantly, what will happen is, by the time you come to finals, you will be much better prepared. But more importantly, that habit will take you well past the JEE, the 12th boards, and what you will find is, in order to clear JEE mains, in order to get good marks in JEE mains, even an average student, I'm contrasting this, I don't like to say average intelligence, let's say an average performer in school so far, can actually do much better than the so-called intelligent students with only one difference, which is learn on a constant basis. This is if there is only one idea that you want to take back from this session, this is that message that we would like to. Now, whichever coaching institute you are part of, whichever classes you go to, it does not matter. Okay? One single thing to keep in mind is this is very important. Okay? And so the big lesson is, success is only the result of consistent daily study. It is not based on how well you practice before the exams. It is not based on how many all-nighters you can pull in before the exam. Okay? It is not based on before the exam did I practice 1,000 questions. Therefore I am very good, very smart, I will crack it. No. If you are looking at exams like JEE, NEET, etc., you have to study on a constant basis. Okay? So I hope this one myth has been busted. Okay? Now let's go on to a few other points. For the same chart, let's see what happens. Right? Studying before the exam leads to a lot of stress and learning actually drops. We have seen this. Students will say, Sir, எனக்கு இது நல்லா தெரியுமே, நான் எக்ஸாம் முன்னாடி படிச்சேனே, எனக்கு அப்ப ஞாபகம் இருந்தது, அந்த ஃபார்முலா தெரியும், அந்த இது அப்ப போட முடிஞ்சது. இப்போ quarterly portion, இப்போ half yearly when you ask me, I'm not able to. Okay? So something must have happened, something wrong happened with that formula or with the teacher or with the exam. Nothing happened with any of them. The mistake is in assuming that I put in effort before an exam, I learned something, therefore I learned it throughout. That is the biggest mistake. Okay? So, if you see that this is the starting point of the learning, actually what you have achieved at the end of 12th is there. But if you just look at all the effort you put in and the drops actually add up to a huge amount, and that is the big difference. Now if you add all this is what you could have gone, but because you did it only before the exam, you are ending up here. Now if there is a way to reverse those drops or to not have those drops, then what will happen? Your level will actually be at the top end. Right? This is what is needed. Right? This whole notion that I learned well before the exam, you have to break it. Because whatever you do before the exam, it is not going to stick with you in the long run. Okay? I hope this is very clear. Okay? Stop studying before the exams. Okay? In fact, I know this from experience, by the way. I don't want to point out. I have a daughter at home. Okay? She's also here. And she's also in 11th standard. And I've given this exact advice at home. Okay? Before the board exam, before 10th exam. So you can even check it out later. Okay? So, we completely believe in practicing what we preach. It is very important to de-stress the mind. It's very important to not be worried about exams. But that doesn't happen. Okay, so I know another student who will say, Sir Sonar, stop studying before the exams. Okay? Exam already cooked mudi. Very good. I'm very happy. Okay, another message. Okay, so, that's convenient. Please, parents, you can tell your students to focus on the right side part, not just the left side alone. Yes, I'm telling two messages. Stop studying before the exam and shift to daily study habit. That is a much harder thing to do. I'm dishonored, immediately some parents will say, okay, we will study 3 hours every day. Not going to happen. Okay? Let me be very if you are not used to the practice, if you are doing 0 hours every day and 10 hours before the exam, you won't be able to do 3 hours from tomorrow. Have moderate goals and achieve it. Make a plan. Say I will do half an hour, 1 hour, proper systematic studying every day. 1 hour, easily people will have the time. Then improve it. Okay? Don't say, I wanted to do 3 hours, I did 0 hours. Let me just go to the exam and then compensate for all of that. It is never going to work. You will not be able to compensate. There's a lot of, this is all serious stuff. There's a lot of studies and data that show that regular practice for half an hour, 1 hour, and then improving it, the gains made by that, there is simply no way you can achieve the same thing by doing 1 or 2 weeks, right? So please take this very seriously. Okay. Now the next thing is how to prepare. Before I go into these things, one of the things, just let me have a quick show of hands. Parents, can you raise your hands? All the parents. So put your hands up. Now let me ask the question next. How many of you are going to write JEE and NEET? I'm asking parents. How many of you parents are going to write JEE and NEET? Really? Huh? I'm asking the parent. Okay? Let me now ask my question again. All parents, please raise your hands. How many of you parents are going to write JEE and NEET? Well, it seems like in the question. Okay, they are all putting their hands in. Okay, if there are students sitting in, okay, if it is the turn for the parents. Okay. There are students will be feeling bad now. No, sir, then she's nodding the head. Correct? Huh?
Yes.
Huh? Yeah. So, some bit we can scold the parents. Okay. So the most important thing is whatever you just answered, keep in mind. Exam for the other
child.
Students. Not me. You have to tell yourself. Have you all seen this movie 3 Idiots? Huh? 3 Idiots when there is that tension situation, he will say all is well, all is well, all is well. Okay? So I want all of you parents put your hand like this, and when the student comes back and says, I scored only so many marks, I scored only this much, I did not get so much. What should you do? All is well. Students, you can now hold the parents accountable. Okay? If you don't do this, if they get stressed, if they get angry and come back, you are not doing this, you are not able to come the marks, etc. Remind them about what I just told you. Ask them to do all is well, etc. Why? Because the most important reason why students get stressed for JEE is parents are thinking they are writing JEE. I mean, there are parents whom I know who will say that if it were possible, I am preparing so much. Okay? Sorry, that is not going to work. How much ever you may be interested, it is the child who is going to write JEE. Okay? I can also tell from experience, I wrote JEE exactly now 32 years back. Okay, it's been a while. Okay. Of course, JEE exam has also changed a lot in the last 20, 30 years. The exam has become tougher, more competitive, etc. But whatever be the situation, realize that your child is right. So, first ask the question, are they interested in preparing for JEE? Okay, I wanted to put that in the slide since it may not be very nice for parents. I will put that. Okay, so the thing was put how to prepare for students, then strike off the parents. Parents are not prepared. Okay, But parents do have a role, and I'm going to come to that later. Okay, so I'm not saying parents have to do nothing. I'm going to come back to what parents can. Okay. Okay. So now let's go a little bit into the exam. Okay. How different is the CBSE syllabus from JEE and NEET? I'm not going to ask you all these questions. Okay. I'm just going to tell you that actually JEE and NEET and CBSE there's not much difference. So let me ask here, how many parents are parents of CBSE students? Okay, quite a large number. State board? Very few. ICSE and other boards? ICSE, IGCSE, etc. Very few. So by and large, most people are the CBSE stream, and there is a huge match to JEE and NEET. It's not a big difference. Okay? But the exams are different. The syllabus is different, similar, but the exams are quite different. Okay? And this is the last question probably. Of these 4 years, which is the easiest for students? Can people shout out the answers? 9th, 10th? Huh? 9th. Okay? Huh? 10. 10 is the correct answer. Actually, there is the reason why 10th is the easiest. Because if you start from class 7, class 8, etc., there is a little bit of a jump in 9th. But you know why? What they did is 10th standard board exam nariya pressure kami pannita. Okay, so they removed a lot of portions from 10th and put it either in 9th or in 11th. So 11th is a big jump. Okay? So in fact, if you are and 12th is not that much of a jump. So if you see, 10th is easier compared to 9th. 12th is slightly easier compared to 11th. When I say easier, the topics are new and different and harder, that is for sure. But what you will experience during 11th will be a very big jump. So that's something you have to be prepared with, right? So, this is something to keep in mind, especially for students going from 10th to 11th. That is going to be the biggest jump when you are doing your JEE. Okay? So, like I said, some last 10 portions have been moved to class 9 and 11. Okay? And, okay, the next question is, if you want to write the JEE exams, and if you want to be in the top 5% JEE mains, what is the score do you think is needed? 90%? 90%? 50. Okay? Actually, what we have seen from the data is if you score 40% of the exams, you will get in the top 5% of JEE. What does that mean? JEE mains and advanced is also similar. What this means is, the exams are very different. That's the first thing to understand, right? Many parents say, "Adhe portion da school le 85 vaangina, okay? So unga class test la vande 40 da vaangirukkan, very bad, okay? If you see scores like that, first thing, do all is well, okay? For the parents, because the JEE exam pattern, the type of questions is harder than CBSE, but it's not much harder. Okay, the exam does have easy questions. I'm going to talk about that also. Okay. Now, the reason to tell this is there is a difference between the kind of marks your student will get in school and in JEE. I talked about parents, especially parents for 11th and 12th standard students. That is the thing that I want to stress. When you saw that there is a big jump from 10th to 11th, students start doing 11th standard school, that itself is quite hard. And then they are practicing for JEE also, and what they realize is that there's a lot of time and effort to be put in. Now, the marks that they get in the JEE related test may not be as good, but that's okay. It's a 2-year journey. If you take 11th and 12th alone, you have to think of it as a 2-year continuous journey. And in the first test or the first set of exams, they may not score very well. Your mindset must be different from how you used to look at school exams, quarterly exam. My child should always get 85, 90, 95, and the very high expectations are not necessary for fact. For JEE preparation, do not, this is advice for the parents, do not look at your child's marks constantly and say, why have you scored low? Why did you not get that exam? Instead, ask question on, did you study? The marks will come eventually, definitely later. Do not worry. Ask, did you study regularly? You scored very well in this exam. Therefore, relax and be happy. No, next week you will still have to study. Because the next week, some other test, some other exam will come. Okay? So this is not like a sprint. It's a 2-year marathon. So you have to pace yourself. Like, for example, if you are running a marathon, you cannot say, I will run very fast for 100 meters, become very tired. That's what people study before the exams do. Right? You are running along this thing. So, the most important thing is constantly doing something. The marks will come. Okay? And this data is just to tell you that, look, don't compare school marks with JEE marks. Okay? This is again advice to the parents. Okay? And this means, still, in spite of the fact that you require only 40%, many students still do not do very well in JEE. Okay? Why is this the reason? Okay? All the questions in JEE exam are very hard. Okay? Students have low intelligence. Okay? JEE exam has mostly easy questions, but still students score less. Most students like JEE without sufficient preparation. There are different options. Why do you think students may score less in JEE? Anybody? Option D. D is students write JEE without sufficient preparation. What is your name? Satvika is saying C. Okay? Anybody else?
D.
D. Okay? Many people think that it is because of lack of preparation. Actually, the correct answer, Satvika got it right. It is that the exam has many easy questions, but students still score less. How is this? Exam questions harder now? Yeah, I can understand, I will don't score it. How is it that exam questions are very easy and I will score less? How is that possible? What stress levels is one factor, but that is only one small factor. Okay? I am going to show you any other points. Why do you think students do not score if exam questions are easy? Yes. Negative marking. Very good. Negative marking is but if it's an easy question, why should the negative marking affect it?
Yes. Focus on the easy ones and study the hard ones more. Children focus on the difficult part more than the easy.
Children focus on the difficult part more. Partly correct, sir. Yes. Overthinking. Very, very good. That's one of the major reasons. Overthinking is one major reason. I'm going to show you some of the other reasons. Okay? Actually, what we find is, see, now I'm coming to the part of, if you are already putting in effort, that is the first given, on a regular basis. You are going to study on a regular basis. It is given, no change in this. But how should you study? What should you do? Should you focus on the tough questions? Should you focus only on this? That's what I'm going to talk about in the last 10 minutes or so. After that, we will take 10-15 minutes, and after that, we will take some questions. Okay? Actually, if you look at JEE and NEET question paper, questions distribution, you do have quite a few of very easy as well as easy questions. You can see that, of course, this is not exact, it changes a little bit with exam to exam, but by and large there's a pattern where there's a distribution. Very hard questions will be there, only to some extent. There will be some hard questions, there will be medium questions, and of course many easy questions also. Now the big problem is, many students do not do well in the very easy or easy questions. Actually they miss out not because of the tough questions. They miss out because they don't do the very easy or easy questions well. Okay? And I'll tell you why the way to study and practice may lead to something like this. Right? Why do students score less? The reason is, okay, the first assumption that if the questions are easy, students will get it right. Wrong assumption. It doesn't mean that the student is bad, the student is not good, student has been prepared. No. There is some extra bit, that's what I'm going to tell you. Okay? Now, the fallacy too is, practicing hard questions will automatically make you good at the easy questions. Many people think, a hard question is practice content. Easy question only. Okay? Not necessary. Okay? And the last thing is, of course, there is always something to blame. Okay? Especially in mathematics. I am a maths teacher, and every time I hear from my students, parents, everybody, you tell me whether you have told this either to your teacher or you have at least thought about this. Okay? Honestly raise your hands. I'm going to make a statement. And you tell whether as a parent you agree with this statement. Sir, அவனுக்கெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கு. அவனுக்கெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கு. இந்த எக்ஸாம் வரும்போது எக்கச்சக்கமா சில்லி மிஸ்டேக் பண்ணி மார்க் தொலைச்சிடும். ஓகே, how many people agree with this statement?
ரெண்டு பேரும் தக்கணும். ரெண்டு பேர் இருக்கீங்க.
Quite a few. Okay. So I tell parents that if I had a repeat, every time a parent came and asked me, sir, you give me one magic bullet, magic pill. My child should not do silly mistakes. Okay? You give me the thing, that's all. Then my child will go somewhere. Okay? Engyo bedo. Super bando. Okay. Let me now first tell you very clearly, bluntly, there is no magic. Okay. So when parents asked this recently in the orientation, one parent asked, sir, எப்படி நீங்க வந்து silly mistakes avoid பண்ணு கத்து கொடுங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லி. I said, look, sorry, என்னால சொல்ல முடியாது. ஏன்னா நானே silly mistake. Okay, I studied at IIT, I also taught at IIT Madras. Okay, I've been teaching mathematics for more than 15 years. I still make silly mistakes. Okay, let me be very, very clear. Okay, I'm not saying to boast. I'm saying that it's not like deliberately பண்ணணுமே கத்துக்காதலாம் இல்லை. Okay, my students know. தெரியாம வந்துடும். Okay, but when I point this, let's say, சாரே silly mistake பண்றாரு, நான் நிறைய பண்ணலாம். Okay, no. Actually, the real problem is in your thinking that இதெல்லாம் silly mistake. Okay, ideally I would like to write on the board and ask. The max question karnala, but I'm not able. I asked the organizers. They said I can't write there. So let me ask. Okay, 9th standard students, can you raise your hands?
நீதா ரைஸ்.
Yeah, 9th standard.
நல்லா ரைஸ் பண்ணு.
10th standard. Okay. Very few. Okay. Because this question applies more to 9th and 10th standard students.
Be ready.
அதுவும் 9th. How to ask this as a max question?
அதுவும் 9th போர்ஷன்ல இருந்து இந்த எக்ஸாம் क्वेश्चन இல்ல.
PPT I can put it. Let me see. No, I think it's a little difficult. Maths எல்லாம் போடணும். That requires that extra this thing. Okay, let me ask this question. So students can raise the hands. Okay. Okay. Ideally I should have written, but let me just take 2 minutes of your time. Okay. I want to do √3 + 2 the whole square. Okay? 1, it is 3 square plus 2 square. Option 2, root 3 square plus 2 square. How many people say option 1 is correct? Okay. How many people say option 2 is correct? Quite a few students say option 2. Okay. Option 2 was, it is root 3 whole square plus 2 square. Quite a few people raise their hands. Okay. What is the third option? Can somebody tell me, is there a third option? There is some extra term. Now, I have done this exercise with many students. Okay? In my class, I have given a challenge and said that in the mistake, some students raise their hands for this option 2. I think you all saw. Okay. Root 3 plus 2 whole square, root 3 whole square plus 2 square. I have seen hundreds of students write in actual method. Okay. Now I ask the same student.
Okay.
Whoever raised their hands, you can tell me, what is the formula for a plus b whole square? What is the formula? You can all say.
A square plus 2ab.
A square plus 2ab plus b square. Not the simple student will say a square plus b square. Did anybody think a plus b whole square is a square plus b square? No. But I can tell you, if you have a child in 8th standard or 9th standard, this mistake, taking a plus b whole square and writing it as a square plus b square, they are definitely going to make in their lifetime. In their lifetime, it's in their 8th standard and 9th standard life. They are definitely going to make. I can predict it and tell you. I once given it as a challenge in front of 30 students. I told the mistake upfront. Adukapramum panina. Okay? Now, the reason I am pointing this is, in the mistake, what kind of mistake is this? Those who said option 2, it is wrong answer. Is it a silly mistake?
No.
They will think it's a silly mistake. Why? Because I know the a plus b whole square formula. I just forgot that to be a bit. But let me tell you one thing. If a mistake is something that I can predict, okay, then it is not a silly mistake. So, is it a concept mistake and the student to formula is it that mistake? No. If I ask, they will tell very clearly what is a plus b whole square? A square plus b square plus 2a. Okay? Then where is that gap? That gap, you are not able to connect between the formula and the application. Yes. But do you call that a silly mistake or a concept mistake? Concept mistake. That's what you would say, but the student will disagree with you. They will say, I know that it is a square plus b square plus 2a. Concept mistakes means they say, you can tell me that it's a concept mistake. So, the big fallacy is there are only two kinds of mistakes. Concept mistake and silly mistake. And then everything that's not concept you put under silly. Then come and complain to teacher, my student is making silly mistake. No, your student is making a third kind of mistake. I'm going to explain it. But let me tell you what silly mistake actually is. The kind of silly mistakes that I make also. 8th standard, 9th standard students are there. 3 into 4 ever. 12. In an exam, if you write 3 into 4 is equal to 10. That is a silly mistake. Why? I cannot predict. I cannot predict whether you are going to write 3 into 4 is equal to 10 or 14 or 13 or 11 or 7 or sometimes you do 3 plus 4. Into or sometimes you write it as 3 plus 4. In the mistakes you cannot avoid. Let me tell you, I don't have any magic to get you to avoid because I still make those mistakes. But they are very rare. All the mistakes that students make are not in this category. Okay? So keep this in mind when we look at the last part, which is in order to learn well and avoid the kind of mistakes that I am talking about, what should you do? Okay? So, of course, the first thing you do need, if you want to avoid the mistake, you must know the concept. You must be able to tell a plus b whole square formula, or you must understand how that formula came and where it is applicable, etc. You must know. So understanding the concept is definitely important. And it is also, you can just take 2 minutes here. That means you must be able to ask questions. Why is this formula there? Why does this apply? Etc. You must ask those questions, and only then you will understand it very well. Where is it applicable? Where is it not applicable? Etc. But this part, many students will say, sir, I know, I've thought through and I've done. Okay? Next is, you need problem solving techniques. So, like sir said, if you just understand the concept, it's not enough. You must be able to apply it. When you have problems, you must be able to use that formula. But there is a very important thing. Okay? Now, here, what kind of problems? What kind of techniques? That is very, very important to know. Okay? சும்மா ஏதோ ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் போட்டா வந்துருமா வராது. Okay? So, which is what many people will say, practice, practice, practice. I also say this in class, you have to practice. But what kind of practice? நான் சும்மா ஒரு 100 ப்ராப்ளம் இந்த டாபிக்ல இருந்து எடுத்து I keep solving. Will that be enough practice? No. There is an important thing that is missing in between. And that is something that we call as a skill. So if you are taking specific topics in mathematics, right? There are skills associated with every topic and subtopic. For example, if it's a quadratic equation, 9th standard and 10th standard students will be there. Quadratic equation கொடுத்தா solve பண்ண முடியுமா? Okay, you have to practice some questions specifically to do that. The most common mistake that you will make while solving quadratic equations is confuse plus and minus sign, especially nadula and ax squared plus bx plus c la b la negative number sign irundha gali. Okay, definitely no mistake. Now, is that a silly mistake? Is that a concept mistake? No, it is not a concept mistake. Because you know the formula, you know how the roots come. Is it a silly mistake? No. Why is it not a silly mistake? Because as a teacher, I am able to predict it. I am able to tell you, in this place, you will make this mistake. That's not a silly mistake. Then what does it mean? It comes because, sometimes because of practice, but also because it is a skill that you have not acquired. You randomly practice a hard quadratic equations problem, you are not going to get the correct skill in quadratic equations. So, the missing thing in between is what we call as skill building. It's a very, very important idea. In every topic of mathematics, every topic and subtopic, you require to build skills one step at a time. After you build those skills, then you can do harder questions. In fact, the reason why students do not do well in the easy questions is they have not done the skill building practice. Skill building means one particular type of skill. Like solving quadratic equations is a particular kind of skill. To do that without mistakes, you need to practice on that skill. Randomly 100 problems given in quadratic equations will not help you. Okay, so here it does matter what the material is, what the teachers are giving you, what the problems are. But it's not about the teacher necessarily. It's also something that the student can do themselves with a little bit of guidance from the teachers, whichever institute or whichever place you go to. So the point is, you have to spend time, correct? But what kind of time? Time that will help you progress in terms of learning and understanding the skills. What you will find is, once you practice these skills on a particular topic, you will suddenly find that magically you are making much less silly mistakes. Much less. I wouldn't say zero. Much less. 3 into 4 is equal to 10. நிச்சயமா வரும். அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது ஒன்று வரும். That's something you cannot avoid. But that will be only one out of the 10 mistakes that you make. What I am telling you now will help you correct the remaining 9 mistakes. Okay? So I don't have a solution for that one mistake. But I do have a solution for the remaining 9 mistakes. And they are avoidable. They can be eliminated. They can be addressed through practice, but not blind practice. with a proper systematic practice in terms of how to acquire skills. That is the most important thing. Then after you build skills systematically, you have multiple types of questions together, harder questions, etc. So this sequence is very, very important, and when you do that, finally you have to do consolidation and revision. And okay, before I go into that last part, one thing that many students ask me, in class also when I give, right, students will say, sir, I have a doubt. In a doubt, sir, how to solve this question? Okay, I will say, நான் சொல்லி கொடுக்க முடியும், நான் எழுதிக்க முடியும். Then when I write that solution, the student will come say, sir, beautiful sir. Okay, let's try. Sir, beautiful solutions. Okay, my response is, I have been teaching this problem for 10 years. I know how to do this. You don't have to appreciate the beauty. I'm not trying to show off, I'm just trying to say, if they look at my solution, they are appreciating the beauty and the niceness in my solution. That is not important. What I ask is, what is your attempt? What is your way of solving the question? Varlena paravalu. Answer correct varlena paravalu. Mistakes irka paravalu. But you have to attempt and you have to do. So when we say practice, many people think, I will do 100 questions. Answer them, yeah, I will look at the solution. No, that's not going to help. In at least in our classes, what he says, if you want to ask me how to solve a problem, don't give me the question. Give me your attempt at the question. I will tell you where you went wrong. Okay, 10 steps are there. I was able to go only to 3 steps. Fine, you got stuck at 4th step. I am very happy to tell you how to go from 4th step to 5th step. But if you tell me just give me the answer, I don't know whether you got it 1st step. I don't know whether you got it stuck at 8th step. In fact, even you don't know. If you don't try and do, you don't know whether your problem is in the 1st step or in the 8th step. So when we say practice, it is not about finding the right answer. It's about attempting it yourself, making mistakes. How many people like making mistakes? By now, 1 hour when try panadala, people are happy to this thing. First get no sir, mathematics is mistake pannakuda. We should get the correct answer first attempt. It is never going to happen. What we say is, you're anyway going to make mistakes. Make a lot of mistakes during the preparation. And at the end of your preparation, what we said is consolidation and revision. It is very, very important to know, summarize what you have learned. One thing that we suggest here is something called a summary sheet. What students have learned themselves, avangala எழுதி prepare பண்ணி பண்ணதை, they have to write in their own handwriting. Okay? Many people say, you give the theory sense. Okay, I will learn from it. But when will you write what you have learned? Right? That's what is going to help you prepare. So these are all some of the points that are the reasons why even smart students make mistakes in easy questions in GEE. What I'm hoping is some of these techniques can help you avoid these mistakes and revise. Okay, you can revise again. That brings me to the end of the talk. Okay, just have about 30 seconds or so more. So let me just conclude with the main point that I sort of mentioned. This exam is going to be written by your students, by your children, not you, right? So the most important thing for the student, I already said, study regularly, don't study before the exam. The most important thing for the parent is, you don't get stressed, you don't get worried, you don't get anxious, because every stress, worry, anxiety, fear, etc. that you have will easily pass on to the child. That's the sin. Parents mean very well. They are not doing it deliberately to make their children feel stressed. I know that. They want good things for the children. But even inadvertently, your anxiety, your worries will only put more stress on the children. So the most important advice for the parents is, yes, there are some tips, techniques, etc. It will take some time for children to do. இன்னைக்கு பண்ணலனா கைத கட்டறன் விழிச்சு இது ஏன் பண்ணல அது ஏன் பண்ணல, please don't get stressed and anxious. This is the single most important advice for the parents. So what you should do, I'll just take one last 30 seconds. Okay? What you should do instead is help them in their plan. Let students make a plan on how they are going to study. You make sure that they are doing that plan to the extent possible. ரொம்ப ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் ஆகாம நீங்க half an hour படிக்கிறேன்னு சொன்னேன், எப்போ வர அம்மா நான் 4 o'clock வந்துடுவேன், 4 o'clock வருவேன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, 4 o'clock வேலை போயிடுவாங்க. ஓகே சரி 4 o'clock வேலை பண்ண என்ன 5 o'clock வந்து படிக்கலாம்ல, 5 o'clock வந்து 1 hour படிக்கிறேன்னு சொன்னீங்க, 5 to 6 படி. That little nudge, little bit of guidance, this is all that parents need to do. Okay, motivate, encourage them and make sure that they are doing something on a regular basis. Your students, your children will definitely do very well in their examinations. Thank you for this opportunity.
Time for questions.
Learn on a constant basis as opposed to only during the exams. That will reduce 70% of stress. Other things, there are some things, but not right now, maybe at higher classes.
Adding on, sir, there's some common myths like students who are toppers, I'm a topper myself, don't watch cell phone for like more than 5 minutes. So I tried breaking that myth, but no one is listening to me.
See, there is no hard and fast rule that this is how toppers should be or this is how people should be. Okay? There are toppers, there are good students who have different kind of habits, right? So there is no such rule or this thing that you need to. Of course, excessive usage and this thing is definitely not advisable. I don't think you should worry too much about it.
Yes, thank you.
And either they are providing me extra work like JEE NEET and other courses like CA and I made in Europe. So even I'm joining school for the JEE and NEET. Should I want to join any other extra institution for that?
Am I able to understand? That is the call that you have to do. You have to make along with your parents and then see that that extra pay where and then make a decision based on it.
If not, you suggest me any
See, like I said, I am part of the institution. I have already mentioned this, right? I am part of the institution called AHADU. But there are many other institutions also that you can choose from. Okay, so that is what I will say.
Yeah, sir, NEET grade 5 is taking choosing NEET and score very well marking. Should I do JEE or should I want to entrance exam in engineering or
You are going to go for the repeaters batch. You currently which class? Going to 11th. Okay, sorry. So you are thinking NEET or JEE? Is that what you are asking? See, you have to choose one. Especially if you are choosing NEET, there's going to be a lot of time and emphasis on biology. So you may not have too much time. Because it's possible to do both, but better to choose one as your main focus. Because the time shift is going to be slightly different based on the choose.
రెండోదికి వెళ్ళి ఏదో వచ్చింది అందుకే
Actually, I want to know. I'm not belong to this type of group, and she is in first group, and she want to prepare for NEET. So, how to prepare? I think she is having lots of courses to complete the university itself. She is not interested for that, and other than that, the school tuitions are there. She is also not getting any time for extra classes. So, what is the best way to get you prepared for her NEET?
See, if you are going for school tuition,
Nikhil,
it's harder to prepare for JEE or NEET separate. In fact, one of the things that I do advise is people to come to our classes for JEE or NEET. we say that this is enough to cover your school portions. You do not have to go for school tuition separately. Just from the interest of the child, I will say that please do not put the child in school tuitions as well as some coaching for JEE and NEET. It's going to be very, very stressful.
Yeah, already.
They won't have time at all. So don't do that. Have a discussion with them and ask them whether this is something for them, right? Like a JEE or NEET coaching classes. And then with that, they should be able to manage school also. Have a discussion with the coaching center also. They will tell you.
Second question is that after 12th, can she prepare for NEET immediately?
That is after the 12th exams are over.
Yeah.
That time is not going to be much, to be honest with you. Okay? You require 1 or 2 years of preparation, full preparation. What many students do is, they attempted again for the repeaters batch. They attempted next year if medicine is something that they are very strong about, very particular about. That's a possibility for many students who are starting a little bit. It's not a big issue. We have many students who are doing it.
Thank you.
Hello sir, I'm Dr.A.Ravishankar. I studied in class 9. My doubt is, if we need to have JEE or NEET, should we go to coaching centers or if it is okay if it is self-study?
See, self-study is definitely very useful and worthwhile. It's a good question. At least for 11th and 12th, I would say you need some guidance. Some guidance can be. However motivated, however good the student is, right? Some plan, some structure would probably be needed, right? So there are some online courses and other mechanisms where children can by and large do a lot of self-study for JEE, but at least that is needed. You cannot just buy one book or just look at the syllabus and then do it yourself. But that is very minimal. Some minimal guidance is enough. But your point is very important. A lot of the reason why the child will do it well in the exam is going to come because of the self-study. Okay? So that is a big component. Definitely.
Is it possible for a person to have both NEET and JEE in the same year?
It is definitely possible. We have had many students who have done that. But it is going to be harder for the student and they have to be willing to put that time and effort to get both prepared for both, especially because there is going to be an extra subject. See, normally students who prepare for NEET are not focusing much on mathematics. But for JEE, mathematics is also very important. And biology takes up quite a bit of time. So that time management is going to be slightly harder for those students, but it is possible. Definitely possible.
So what advice would you give for
Plan and manage well in advance. Okay? Not if you are in 9th or 10th, then you have enough time. Right? There are, like for example, what we said, that applies for then physics, chemistry, biology and mathematics for students who want to do it. They'll be able to do if you plan for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is the last question.
So good morning, sir.
Yes.
I'm Shadi from class 12, sir. I have this small doubt. So what would be this core subject or like this core concept of maths to like experience the essence of mathematics and to crack JEE?
See, there is no one core concept or one subject, right? I would say all of mathematics, whether it's JEE or Olympiad or anywhere, all of mathematics is fun and enjoyable, right? You must enjoy the mathematics process. As in, if you are looking at a particular concept, theorem, whatever, right? Some result, right? If you are looking at why did this come, what is the logic, what is the connection between this and that? The essence of mathematics is the connections that you can do. Okay? For example, I say that you can look at coordinate geometry, you can look at geometry, you can look at algebra, and you can think of them as different topics. But there will be many common threads and ideas that run through all of them. Of course, this is not a talk where I can explain all of that. That connection is what I would say is the essence of mathematics. That's where the fun of mathematics actually is. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
That's
Thank you so much. Okay, one last question.
yes.
Hi, sir. My question is, how to handle NEET with CBSE boards at the same time?
That is, I think, very common for all the NEET schools. right? If you're preparing for NEET exam, the CBSE boards is something that you won't be able to do well anyway if you're prepared well for NEET, right? The math, if you've taken physics, chemistry, biology, no mathematics, then it's easier. But if you've taken mathematics also, then that might be slightly harder because the CBSE boards mathematics you have to do some extra preparation. Some of it will overlap with physics, so it will be possible. But the other mathematics you will have to put some extra. That's the only thing that I would say if you want to do both NEET and CBSE boards. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for your questions. And